Hi, I'm Frankie, and in this video, I wanted to show you the current status of the Microsoft Foundry portal. And then we're going to create an agent in it as well, called a gift tracker agent. So imagine you have a person who wants to keep track of the gifts that they're going to give their loved ones, and they want to budget them correctly, have gift ideas, and make sure that they can get things that their loved ones are going to love and not have anything sneak up on them. So that's what we're going to build today, and we're going to do it all in the new Microsoft Foundry portal. So let's take a look. We'll start in the Microsoft Azure portal. In this Microsoft Azure portal, we have just a blank resource group that's created. Right now, there is nothing in it because I want to show how to do this completely from scratch. So in the resource group, there's nothing here, but if I go to ai.azure.com, I'll be in the Microsoft Foundry portal page. From there, we want to create a new project. Right now I'm in an old project, but we want to show how to create a new project. So we'll keep in mind our resource group. We'll call it's RG, AIS, EUS2, Demo, Gift Tracker. The reason is we are creating a example gift tracker agent, an agent that you can interact with if you're someone who wants to keep track of the gifts that you're getting for your loved ones. Imagine you want to plan ahead of time the gifts for your children or your spouse, and you don't want to always be surprised when new holidays come up, and you want to be up to date on what you've gotten them in the past so that you don't repeat gifts, but you also make sure you can get a gift that is meaningful for them and that you can plan it ahead of time with cost and also something they'll enjoy. So that's the whole point of this agent. This agent is meant to help you in that process. That's the point of the gift tracker agent. So let's go to our ai.azure.com. We'll come up to where there are projects. We'll expand this a little bit, make it bigger. View all projects. We'll create a new project. We'll call this Proj, AIS, EUS2, gift or test, demo, gift tracker. All right. Now go to Advanced Options, where we'll see a Microsoft Foundry resource is going to be created when you're building agents in Microsoft Foundry portal. The new Microsoft Foundry portal that exists, not the old Azure AI Foundry portal. This new version, we have what's called a Microsoft Foundry resource that's created, and then within resources, we have projects. Those projects are the things that then house deployments, agents, workflows, and these projects are usually isolated per whatever your actual project is, but you might have multiple projects within a resource. So with this particular project, we have our resource that's being created. We're going to do an East US2 region. We'll make sure we have the subscription set, and we're going to want to select the correct resource group. So let me go through here. We make sure we choose our gift tracker resource group that we have, that we created, that's currently empty. It's going to set up resources for us, and let's create this project now. I'll speed things up until the project is done being created. All right, our project is done. Let's go. Now, we are within our project that we just created. And if I go to the Microsoft Azure portal, I can refresh the screen and I should see my Microsoft Foundry resource. I see my Microsoft Foundry project that's created. I also see a log analytics workspace and an application insights resource that's created for me to help with observability. So going back to Microsoft Foundry portal, I can now take a look at the portal. Let's walk through briefly how this works, and then we'll jump into the agents. So within your Microsoft Foundry portal, you have your Discover page. This is where you're going to be able to discover all kinds of different models. You can view models that are new, models that are coming out, search and filter by different types of capabilities and tasks that these agents can do. Lots of different features here. You can compare the different models by selecting the compare at the top and choosing your specific model based on different types of benchmarks. So some of the biggest benchmarks that we look at when we're choosing models for agents is quality, the quality of the response, safety, how safe they are to attacks, prompt injection attacks, anything that could be questionable information that we don't want agents to take in or respond to. Estimated cost, what the approximate cost is per 1 million tokens for these models. Throughput is just how fast they can output models. how fast they can output tokens. So we can compare all these. We already know we're going to choose GPT-4o just because I think it's a cheaper model. It's got pretty decent metrics, and it's something I like to use pretty often. So I'll go to default settings to deploy my GPT-4o model. This is what we're going to use for our agent example in this demo. So now I have my model is deployed, and I could play around within the model playground. That's what this is right now. But if I want to build an agent, I want to go to agents. So within the agent playground, which is where you are when you create an agent, we're going to create an agent now. We'll call it gift tracker agent. I can create this and open it within the playground for the agent playground when I'm playing around with agents. So I'm now within the agent playground. And so we were in discovery before, where you find models and you can learn about tools, you can learn about different solution templates for building different types of models. You can see different types of example agents that you could build that follow different patterns. And then we moved to the build section. This is where our agents are when we want to take a look at our list of agents within this project. We can also see our models that are already deployed within this project. We can see any fine-tuning models, tools that exist, knowledge sources, data that we have, do evaluations, and also any guardrails if we want to set up safety systems for our agents. So going to agents, I will go to my gift tracker agent, and now we have in our agent playground, we can kind of take a look in here to see what is available. So my model that is selected, which is going to be the brains for our agent, is our GPT-4o model. There's currently in preview this voice mode. We're not going to use that, but if you did want to set up voice agents, you could enable this capability. We're going to add instructions. Instructions are what guide your agent. You don't absolutely have to have instructions for your agent, but without them, your agent is operating based on the generic information that it's been trained on. So we are going to add a set of instructions in just a moment, but I want to talk through a little bit more about this interface first. So the tools is where you're going to add tools that give your agent the ability to really take actions on your behalf. Without tools, your agent is just outputting information after you give it some sort of information. And it might do that with specialized knowledge. And there's lots of different ways you can add knowledge. The types of knowledge that exist here in this preview section is the Foundry IQ, where you can have multiple knowledge sources. You use a service called Azure AI Search in the background. I'll add a link to the Azure AI Search Masterclass that I've created in the past if you want to get deeper into what that service is and how it works. There's memory, so that your agent can remember user preferences and chat summaries that exist within your conversations. We will be using that in a moment. And you can add in guardrails. So this is going to help your agent recognize when somebody's trying to either directly add information to get information back from your agent that your agent's not supposed to share. This could be directly by somebody given a prompt that's meant to trick your agent into giving it information, or it could be indirectly through some sort of tool call or an MCP call. And so the guardrails are in place to create additional context within your AI model's context window to protect it from any of those different types of attacks that could occur. You can take a look at the page here where we'll put in information we'll prompt our agent. We will be able to configure any type of display. If you wanted to share this with other people, give it a description, have starter prompts, kind of like what we see here on the screen. When we are ready to publish this, we have our publish button at the top right here, where we have our endpoints for responses and activity protocol that you could use when you go to deploy it into some sort of custom solution, or if you do want to deploy it to Microsoft Teams by sending it to a Microsoft 365 Copilot agent, you could do that here as well. So now, for our gift tracker agent, let's add in some information. So we're going to add in a tool. All right, we already have a default tool of web search connected. That's great because for our gift tracker tool, we want to be able to search new types of gifts that we want to give for our loved ones. I'm going to play the persona of someone called Mason Stark, who's married to a woman named Andrea and has 3 children named Joseph Adam, and Mary. So as Mason, I want to be able to search the web and find information that might be ideal for my loved ones. I'm going to also add in Code Interpreter, which is another configured tool out of the box in Microsoft Foundry. This will allow my agent to interact more with math. If I want to calculate the cost of different types of gifts that I'm going to be getting, I want to make sure I can do accurate calculations without Code Interpreter. Agents are notoriously bad at math, so that's going to be important to be in there. I'm going to also add the file search tool so I can add in some more details now. I have some pre-existing content that I've already created. These are profiles that exist for each one of my loved ones, where there is things they like, things they don't like, a history of gifts I've already gotten them in the past 3 years, gift ideas that might be helpful in planning what I might get them for the future. And you can get all these files in the Azure Innovation Station online community, which you can join for free. There's a link in the description. I'll copy this system prompt that we're going to use as the instructions. And I'll add it in here as our instructions. I'll save our agent. It's always good to be periodically saving our agent so that we can make sure to have proper versioning. We can always then refer back to past versions if we made a mistake or want to change something. I've added in those instructions. Now I'll add in that file search, those files that we had. Just going to drag and drop all these JSON files. They don't have to be JSON files, and this could be more sophisticated if you were going to use a different type of retrieval method. Looks like we have some failing details here. Let's try this again. Can drag in these files here. They'll upload for file search. This doesn't have to be using file search. You could use Azure AI Search and index more information that's stored in a different location. If you have a SQL database or a Cosmos DB database or Azure Blob Storage and you have a large amounts of information, I'm using file search because it's quick and easy to show how you can upload information and then retrieve that information quickly, because we're using a Microsoft managed Azure AI Search resource. So this is a very simple and fast way to set up RAG for your Azure AI agents, is using file search. I'll leave the default vector name and attach this. Now we'll save this. Lastly, we want to add memory to our agent. So I'll come down here, add memory to create a memory store. This will create a default memory store that is automatically going to be implemented here. We'll save this. And now we should have everything we need to start playing around with our agent. So we'll close some of this so it's out of the way. Bring myself over to the other side here, and now let's give this a try. All right, so let's start with something simple here. What can you do? So it's a gift tracking agent, all about gift ideas that are tailored to the family members. It can help with tracking past history of gifts, budgeting and planning for gifts, saving ideas, ideally to memory right now, up-to-date information using web search, any other type of planning for ideas that may exist, or also using web search and customized help. So going back and forth with some sort of identity to help with this planning process. So give me some ideas for gift ideas for Adam for his upcoming birthday. So it looks like we have the gift ideas file was called upon. I can check the logs to see this as well. I can see file search is used to pull that information. I can see memory was also searched to look at past conversations also. Can you search online to find 2 more ideas that might be fitting based on Adam's preferences and his profile? So now we see that looks like some web search capability was used to search the web. And also Adam's profile was also searched using web search as well. His interests and dislikes were used as part of this web search. We got a couple more options with the pricing listed. So far we've been using web search and file search. If I start a new conversation, I want to ask about the previous discussion I just had, see if it will remember using memory. I was just trying to discuss a type of gift for a birthday for one of my children. Which child was it? And what were some of the options that we were coming up with together? And so it says, yep, you were discussing Adam's birthday, and it gives the list of ideas that we were coming up with. So that's using memory to help remember from our previous conversation, because the chat summaries are stored within our memory store that we just created. So far we've used memory, we've used knowledge within our file search by uploading some documents. We've got code interpreter to help with math. Let's see an example of that. Do some math using code interpreter to see how much Adam's gifts were from last year. Show your work. Looks like you grabbed just the birthday. Do math on all of the gifts that were given to Adam last year and add them all up using code interpreter and math. So this should include Christmas as well. There we go. So now we see Christmas and birthday added in, and we see it's using code interpreter to try to calculate this properly. So this is an example of how you can build an Azure AI agent. We've now built this agent that is using code interpreter for math. It's using file search to look at recent files and information regarding these family members. It's using web search to find recent information. It's using memory to remember past conversations and preferences that a user might have. We have our system instructions to guide the agent on how it should work and act. And now that's how you build an Azure AI agent. You're now ready to deploy this if you wanted to publish this to M365 Copilot as an M365 Copilot agent, or if you want to take advantage of the endpoint and deploy it to some other backend service that has some sort of UI to deploy it that way as well. But this is an Azure AI agent. The last 2 pages in the new Microsoft Foundry portal are the Operate tab and the Docs tab. Operate is where you can see information on your agents and what's going on with them. I can choose my gift tracker project. I could choose all my projects to see how they're all working. Right now I just have the one gift tracker agent that's running properly, but I could see what's going on with all the other information if I had more agents running in this project. You could register an agent if you have something that's already hosted somewhere else, or you have an existing agent that you want to containerize and you just want to see the information on the Microsoft Foundry dashboard based on how that agent is performing. And then finally, the docs. The docs are just to help you with Microsoft Foundry so you can quickly learn information about what's going on in the Microsoft Foundry portal. And lastly, something else that's really helpful in the Microsoft Foundry portal is its built-in AI chatbot. So you can ask any questions about the Microsoft Foundry portal and get information here. If I want to start a new conversation, ask it, what type of models exist in my region, I can ask that question and it'll search for that information, share it with me, and I can talk about the different things I want to do in Microsoft Foundry, and it can give me advice based on the documentation. So great way to quickly get started and ask questions if you're not sure what to do or where to go when you're getting started in Microsoft Foundry. And so that's the new Microsoft Foundry portal, and that's our gift tracker agent. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. I answer every question to help as many people as I can. If this video was helpful for you, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. And as always, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.